the false conservatives are like, they've been called a lot of things. They don't even know what a conservative is anymore. All a person has to do is say, I'm a conservative. They think they're a conservative, that's all. What does it mean? Oh, I'm not a Democrat. Oh, that makes you a conservative? Define yourself. See if anyone can define it better than I did, Borders, Language, and Culture. See if anyone can define conservatism better than I have. Borders, Language, and Culture. Nobody can beat that. Nobody. Nobody. So I don't want to talk about it because it's boring. I want to talk about the pipe bomb. I want to talk about the recalled frozen pizza. I want to talk about the fact that the FDA says that they can't assure the purity of our drugs anymore, our medications, because 80% of ingredients come from foreign manufacturers and there's no record keeping. So you're getting a pill, for example, a prescription drug, and it says made by X company, SmithKline, French, Pfizer, whatever. But 80% of the ingredients may come from foreign laboratories, and we don't know anything about them. Nothing. That's what George Bush has done with outsourcing and free trade. Do you understand what we're talking about? It took 100 years to get the pure food and drug laws that we had in this country. It took 100 years of hard labor to pass these laws to control this kind of greedy behavior on the part of unscrupulous businessmen. Consequently, we had the purest food and drug supply in the world. America was the beacon of shining light with regard to pure foods and drugs. Now we have lost it all in a few short years under the Republican onslaught upon food and drug laws. You don't even know where your tomatoes come from. You don't know if DDT is in your lettuce, because they're not grown in California. Half of the foods you're eating aren't grown here anymore. They're grown with human manure put on them in Mexico. And you don't understand what this is doing to us, so we can get a picture of it. But the same thing is happening to us morally. We're importing third world evaluations of our morality. We're starting to behave more and more like the countries that our lettuce is coming from than that they're behaving like us. It was all taught to me in the 5th grade by a teacher I had named Mrs. We'll call her Mrs. Raisin. We'll call her Mrs. Carrot. You see, I moved to a new neighborhood. We moved in the 5th grade from the tenement of the Bronx to Queens, New York. It was in the 5th grade. To me, it was paradise. It had a little strip of lawn, a 2-family house that we rented. We were the upstairs. The owners were down. It was a paradise. I had a little bedroom, unbelievable. So I was the new kid in the classroom, and I was very shy. And I linked up with a real SOB, a really evil kid. He was the worst in the class. Somehow he and I linked together. I don't know how. And what happened was a few months later, the teacher, Mrs. Carrot, called us in, and she said, this happens every time in school. When a good kid gets together with a bad kid, the bad kid never becomes good. The good kid always becomes bad. And she said, Alan has ruined you. She turned you into a bad kid. You shouldn't hang around with him. Now, it's the same with regard to America. We were the good kid. And the more we're hanging around with the bad kids with rotten vegetables, no morality, etc., they have not become more like us, have they? We become more like them. So actually, Mrs. Carrot was 100% right. That's a pretty good story. I like that one. That's Mrs. Carrot. I learned everything by the 5th grade. Yeah, he went on. He married some lawyer there up in Scarsdale. Never worked a day in his life. Sold ties in the garment center. A real loser. Well, I can't blame him 100%. He was a bad kid, but he had a crazy mother. She's the one who beat her hands up with the chain and said he did it when the father came home, and he had a fight. The mother was crazy. She affected him. I agree. He wasn't born bad. He was actually a nice kid underneath it all. I liked him a lot. He was smart, but ruined by the crazed mother. But I don't blame her either. She went crazy from a doctor in New Jersey who put her on Benzedrine to lose weight. So she drove over to New Jersey in her pink Cadillac. Look at my Cadillac, the bleach blonde trying to look like Jane Mansfield. When these songs were popular, this all went on. And she come back whacked out of her mind on Benzedrine. And she hated her son. All of her hatred for her husband she took out on her son. The kid didn't know what was going to hit him when he walked through the door. She hated him, picked on him. And one day she took a dog chain and beat herself over the wrist till they bled. He didn't know it. The husband comes home white in the face from his job, walks to the door, and there's the crazy mother with bleeding wrists saying, Oh, Si, look what your son did to me. The father turned white, threw his bag down, ran upstairs and got into a fist fight with his 12-year-old son. That's the mother. So I don't blame the kid for having gone crazy. I don't blame the mother. I blame the doctor. It can all be traced back to drugs and the doctors. They ruined an entire generation. Now play rock and roll, because now I'm getting in the mood of the show. That's all. No, this doesn't work. That's too merry. I need something like Earth Angel would be good. Strom und Drang. Everyone's some Earth Angel. Kenny got something in his paw today. I can't get it out. It's like a little lion.
Earth Angel.
Turn it off. I'm not in the mood for this crap, this garbage, this throwback music. I don't even like it. I'm not in the mood for it. I don't know what's wrong with me today. The shrimp must have done something to me. I'm going to go to that museum. I'll look at the paintings again and the New Guinea art. I'll be happy for 10 seconds. I will come out of this state of mind. What Bush did to us with the unpure food, unbelievable. When he gave a speech today to the new recruits, I really wanted to throw something through the television set. The kids are sitting there with the black berets on and telling how noble they are. But God forbid they should pull the trigger before the enemy blows their face off. You'll have them before a court-martial faster than you could say New World Order. I thought to myself, WRKO in Boston, Lee, you're on the Savage Nation.
You know, the way you teach or the way you speak about modernity is so informative. And I have to tell you, there's a movement in education that is very frightening. They are moving away from auditory learning into just doing tasks so that the children aren't learning anything.
Wait, what do you mean by tasks?
Everything is what they call task-based. They have to work in groups. It's what they...
Oh, how communistic of them. I see. It's group. In other words, it's groupthink. In order to make the world safe for homosexuals and radical Islamists, you have to teach them groupthink from kindergarten on.
Precisely. And it's...
Hey, I know why you think I don't know who's behind it all. I know who's behind it all. I know who ruined America, who ruined the social order of America. I know exactly who did it. I know who the rats are. But I was riding my bike today in a mall. I went down to a mall and I saw the Gap store. Listen to this. You want to hear along the lines of what you're saying to me. You know the Gap, owned by Levi Strauss, the once great American company that's turned into a cesspool of social engineering and can't sell a pair of dungarees anymore? So this huge storefront for the Gap store shows a mother and children and says something like red. The word red is on it. I don't know, the whole campaign is red. And it shows you to be good if you're red. I said, they're brainwashing people into being communists. They're that whacked out. It's about a sustainable project against AIDS in Africa. I had no idea what they were trying to sell me and why. Do you have any idea what they're doing with the Gap store? With products from Africa that are red? What are they talking about?
It's this new melange of globalism that we're supposed to just conform to.
But I'm telling you, the people who run these companies are no better than the people in education. They're all brainwashed. Everything is about feeling good, not about selling a pair of pants anyone wants to buy, or about teaching a child how to add 4 columns of 3 figures each. Can the kids add 3 columns of 4 figures each anymore without a computer?
Well, what they use now is called the lattice method, and if you don't teach it correctly, they fire you.
The lattice method? What does that mean? You climb a ladder to look down on your schoolmate's desk to see what the answer is?
Pretty much, but what they do is they make a box structure and then multiply on the diagonal. Most of the children get very confused when they need to go to decimals and actually...
Oh my God, I can't believe it. They're like a nation of idiots. You know, I've taught myself ever since childhood to carry, lines of figures in my head without a computer, because I figured wherever I'm going to go, I'm not going to have a computer everywhere I go. I have to do deals somewhere. Even if it's in a foreign language and foreign currency, I have to be able to convert it in my head, right? The kids can't do that today?
No, we're failing in the MCAS, the Massachusetts assessment system, which was sorely needed.
Well, you don't want any standardized tests because that discriminates against morons. Standardized tests discriminate against idiots and non-English speaking immigrants who are not smart enough to have learned the language fast enough. And so what you want to do is dumb down the entire population and bring them down to the level of the illegal immigrant moron throwback. Then you have a wonderful new nation of idiots ready to have their hearts cut out and roll down an Aztec monument in Coatzacoalcos.
You've described my hometown.
I love when I see these pyramid structures and these stories that they run on the History channels about the Mayans and what an advanced civilization